Ever get one of those LinkedIn connection suggestions? The ones where it's like, did we even meet? It's kind of freaky how AI seems to have this uncanny ability to like map out your entire professional life. But it also makes you think, how are companies using all our data to train these AI models? Well, today we're diving deep into that very question, looking at the latest news in AI and what it means for your privacy. We've got four really interesting articles lined up for this deep dive. And speaking of interesting, we're going to kick things off with LinkedIn themselves. They've had a bit of a run-in with the UK's data protection regulators, the ICO. Turns out they're using data from UK users to train their AI, but the way they went about it, well, it raised some eyebrows, to say the least.
Yeah, you see, LinkedIn's initial approach was to automatically opt users in to having their data used for this AI training. It was one of those things buried in the terms and conditions that nobody really reads. I'd be surprised if many users even realized this was happening.
So what did LinkedIn do when they got called out?
They've switched to an opt-out model, at least for UK users, but it does beg the question, what exactly are we talking about when we say user data, and how does it all play into this AI training?
Okay, so let's break that down a bit. We're not just talking about your name and job title here, are we?
Oh, absolutely not. LinkedIn is a goldmine of information, all those details people share about their careers, their work experience, skills, who they're connected to, even the articles they post and all that stuff. It's what they call user-generated content. And it's pure gold for training AI. It's like giving the AI a crash course in how professional networks really work.
So instead of just feeding the AI a bunch of dry data points, they're basically giving it access to our entire professional lives thanks to our LinkedIn profiles. I guess that explains how they come up with those eerily accurate connection suggestions. Makes you wonder where the line is, between making the user experience better and, well, maybe taking things a bit too far with all this data we're putting out there.
Yeah, it's a tough one, and it's only going to get more complicated as AI gets more powerful. Which actually brings us to another really interesting development in the AI world. There's this company, Perplexity, and they're taking on Google in the search engine game.
Taking on Google. That's a brave move. What's their secret weapon?
They're doing things differently with advertising, that's for sure.
Hmm.
Instead of those like random ads that follow you around the internet, they've got something called, get this, sponsored questions built right into the search results.
Sponsored questions. Okay, I'm intrigued. How does that work?
So, say you're searching for something like the latest tech in running shoes, right? Perplexity will give you the AI generated answer, but you might also see a question like, what makes Nike's new running shoe so innovative?
Hmm.
The answer is still AI generated, but it's been, approved by Nike, the advertiser.
So it's kind of like getting an ad that's actually relevant to what you're looking for, but without feeling like you're being bombarded.
Exactly. They're betting that people are more open to ads if they're like seamlessly woven into the whole AI experience, especially if it's from a brand they trust. And they're already talking to some big names, Nike, Marriott, the big players.
Wow, that's a bold strategy.
Yeah.
But Google is Google, right? Do you think Perplexity can really make a dent?
Well, Google is the king of search, for sure. Plus, they've got endless resources to throw at AI. I mean, we've seen others try, like Microsoft with Bing. It's tough to compete.
Yeah, Google has that whole default setting thing going for them. But I do wonder, what's driving this push for alternatives? Is it just about market share, or is there something more to it?
I think it's a bit of both, honestly. You've got companies looking for an edge, obviously, but there's also this growing awareness that maybe it's not so healthy to have a few big companies controlling so much of the AI world.
Right, like the diversity of ideas and approaches is usually a good thing, keeps everyone on their toes. Speaking of which, our next story takes us from the world of search engines to something a little more high voltage. Microsoft is back in the news, but this time it's about how they're powering their AI ambitions. And get this, they're turning to nuclear energy.
Yeah, AI uses a ton of energy, so these companies are trying everything to power their data centers. Microsoft's latest move is a deal with Constellation Energy Corporation. They're actually restarting a reactor at Three Mile Island in Pennsylvania.
Hold on, 3 Mile Island, as in the accident back in '79. That seems like a pretty risky move.
It's definitely sparked some controversy. On the one hand, you've got the whole clean energy argument. Nuclear power doesn't produce carbon emissions, which fits with the tech industry's push for sustainability. But Yeah, there are also legitimate concerns about safety and the environmental impact, especially given the history there.
It's like every time we make some big leap forward in technology, we end up with a whole new set of questions, tough choices. I have to say, the idea of nuclear-powered AI data centers is a lot to wrap my head around. It does make you wonder what other innovative or maybe even controversial solutions we'll see as the demand for AI computing power just keeps growing.
It's a fascinating dilemma, that's for sure. This whole AI revolution is making us rethink some pretty fundamental things like our energy infrastructure, sustainability, how much risk we're willing to accept in the name of progress.
It really does. It's like on the one hand, you've got this incredibly powerful technology, but then on the other hand, we're still figuring out how to power it in a way that doesn't look like destroy the planet.
Yeah.
But you know what's even wilder than nuclear-powered AI? Deepak Chopra, yeah, the whole mindfulness and well-being guru, he's out there saying AI could be our spiritual guide.
It's definitely not your typical AI application, that's for sure. But it's an interesting thought, isn't it? Chopra's argument is that AI can process so much information, right? So it could potentially give us these really personalized insights from all these different spiritual traditions and philosophies.
So instead of us trying to make sense of all those ancient texts or whatever, we could have an AI that's like summarizing it all and telling us what it means. That's actually kind of cool when you think about it.
Exactly. I mean, imagine having an AI that could like walk you through different meditation techniques or even just give you some personalized reflections based on, how you're feeling or even connect you with other people who are interested in the same kind of spiritual stuff.
It'd be like having your own personal spiritual advisor on call 24/7.
Yeah.
But can AI really get spirituality, though? Or is it just like picking up on patterns in the data?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, right? Even Chopra says that AI is just a tool, and it all comes down to how we decide to use it. He sees a future where AI helps us go deeper with our own spiritual practices, not replacing them entirely, but kind of enhancing them.
So not trading in our yoga mats for robots just yet, but maybe using AI to kind of like supercharge our own self-discovery.
Exactly. Think of it like adding new tools to our spiritual toolkit, if you will.
It's definitely something to think about, and it just goes to show how AI is shaking things up everywhere you look, right? From how we connect with people on LinkedIn to like who's going to be the top dog in the search engine world with Perplexity challenging Google. And then you got these huge questions about data privacy, how we're going to power it all, and now even the nature of spirituality. AI is making us rethink everything.
It really is, and as we've seen, there are no easy answers. Every new development comes with opportunities and challenges, and it's up to us to figure out how we want to use this technology to shape the future.
It's a lot to process, but that's what makes these deep dives so interesting, right? We're not just skimming the headlines here. We're really digging into the big questions. And as always, we want to hear from you. What really got you thinking in these stories? Share your thoughts, your questions, anything that comes to mind. Let's keep this conversation going.